All right, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel and this week's Bike Quick Talks. But before we get into today's video, if you're new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So today in this Bike Quick Talks, we're talking about different chain sizes and what they all mean, and if they're actually different sizes or if that's some marketing gimmick out there. So what we got next to us here, we have multiple style chains here. So we have everything from a 7-speed chain to a single speed to a 12-speed to a 10-speed. We're going to look at all of them and see really if there's any difference. So realistically, the difference you're going to see with a chain is going to be in the width of the links. So essentially, the width across is going to be the difference you'll see in chains. The actual distance between the links is all going to be relatively the same. There's only a few chains out there that are different spacing between the actual links, but the width of the actual chain is going to be the difference. And you'll see that here as we look at these. And that's really going to be from, we started with bikes that were 1 gear to up to bikes that were like 6 to 7 gears, up to bikes that are now 12 or 13 in the rear. And as you kind of shove more and more gears into the same amount of space, obviously something has to get smaller, and that's your chain. That's actually going to get narrower and narrower. So let me bring you guys up here. We'll take a look at some chains and I'll show you kind of the differences between some of them. So here we have chains in front of us. So honestly, with the way people talk about chain width, do you think there'd be a huge difference? But realistically, the differences are pretty small. So over here is the single speed chain. This is a half link chain. So realistically, we're kind of looking at this link in the middle. And those ones there are typically about 9 millimeters wide. So you're kind of like, okay, 9 millimeters. Then if we move over to something like say 6, 7, or 8 speed chain right here, which is going to be this guy, those are about 7 millimeters. So I mean, you have a 2 millimeter gap between those two. But obviously you're going from just 1 gear in the back up to 5, 6, 7, 8, potentially 9 gears on the rear with a 7 millimeter chain. Then over here we have a 10 speed chain right here. So 10 speed chain, you're looking at 6 millimeters. So pretty much going from there, you have about a 1 millimeter gap between there. 1 millimeter really isn't that much, in case you're curious. That's a very small difference there. And then moving on to a 12-speed chain, we're down to 5.3 millimeters. So even less than 1 millimeter. For essentially that 2-gear count there, we're losing 0.7 millimeters in width. And honestly, if you were to look at like a 12-speed chain and a 10-speed chain, the difference is very hard to even tell. They are so close, you can just barely feel it with your fingers, that they just don't quite line up. But it is such a small difference, it's hard to see. However, we bring our 12-speed chain over to our single-speed chain, and you can really see the difference there. Because essentially, we're getting close to just a little over half the size. So I mean, you can really tell the difference between a 12-speed and a single-speed, even with like a 12-speed and a 6 or 7 speed here. So you can see kind of the difference there. But honestly, for most of us, we're looking at chain sizes that are so close to each other, like a 10 speed to a 12 speed, that's really hard to even tell there's a difference there. So ultimately, that kind of begs the question of, can you mix chain sizes up? Because obviously when you buy a box with a chain, it says it's for a 9 speed, a 10 speed, a 12 speed, wherever that may be, a 5, 6, 7 speed. So in general, you can go down. So you can run a 12-speed chain on a single speed or a 12-speed chain on a 6-speed. You can run that and have, not run any problems, because really what's changing is just the width of the links. So in theory, this would be able to work onto, a 5, 6, 7 speed. What you're losing is a little bit of chain strength there is really going to be the biggest thing. Obviously, you can see the links on here and the rollers are much larger on the like 5, 6, 7, even a 10 speed, they're a little bit larger than a 12 speed. So you lose a little bit in strength is where you kind of lose that. That's why BMXers generally use like a half link chain. It's going to be a stronger chain overall, just the style and size of the links. Now, is it enough strength that this isn't going to be able to handle your power? No, it's definitely not to that point. It's definitely going to handle your power. No issues with a 12 speed on a 12 speed bike. You're going to be able to put down the same power you can as you could on a 6, 7 speed bike. No problem there. That is just the one thing you're going to lose. So you can go down in size and not have a problem. However, going up in size, so if you had a 12-speed cassette, you're not going to be able to put a 7-speed chain on there. You're going to run into issues with that because there's not going to be enough clearance between the cogs in order to actually get this to fit in there, it's going to run into some clearance issues. So that's why you need the smaller width chain on there. So there's kind of the basics of chain sizes. Really, the width is what's going to change on them, not so much the length between each of the pins. So hopefully that helps you kind of understand chain sizes a little bit more. It's kind of not going to the basics in this video. It's, it's a bike quick talk, so let's be quick. Kind of quick overview of this. If you guys found this entertaining, or who knows, maybe you learned something today, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys. Love answering questions you guys have. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.